If you really stop and think about it, everyday English conversation is kind of weird, right? I mean, we're out here talking about hitting sacks, spilling beans, flying pigs, and we don't even skip a beat. These phrases, called idioms, completely shape our daily conversations. They're this colorful shorthand we use to express complex thoughts quickly and vividly. But if you take them literally, utter nonsense. Today, in this explainer, we're going to efficiently decode 50 of the most common English idioms by organizing them into the natural flow of a day's conversation.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap to make sense of these phrases. First, expressing feelings and states. Second, secrets, lies, and communication. Third, the workplace and effort. Fourth, navigating troubles and challenges. And fifth, timeless advice and wisdom.
All right, section 1. Expressing feelings and states.
It's actually wild how easily we can build a whole little story out of just 4 phrases. So picture this. You wake up on a Saturday morning and you are totally on cloud 9, meaning you're just extremely happy because, say, you've got a big date later. But then, right around noon, you start feeling a bit under the weather, feeling sick or unwell. And suddenly, because you're physically feeling off, you get cold feet, meaning you become nervous or afraid about going on the date at all. Ultimately, you have a change of heart and decide to just stay home, which of course means you change your decision. 4 simple phrases, 1 complete emotional roller coaster.
And these phrases, they act as these amazing little conversational shortcuts when we just need to reset our attitude. Like when someone is completely stressed out, telling them to take it easy is this wonderfully gentle way of saying, hey, relax, don't worry. And if plans change unexpectedly, we tell people to just go with the flow, which means to simply accept things exactly as they happen. They're basically perfect examples of how idioms shape our daily conversations by easily smoothing over that everyday social friction.
Moving on to section 2, secrets, lies, and communication.
Okay, consider these 2 phrases for a second. On one hand, we've got let the cat out of the bag, which means to reveal a secret. On the other, spill the beans, which means to reveal secret information. If you take these literally, these are 2 incredibly absurd, completely unrelated visual concepts, right? Like letting a frantic animal out of a sack versus dropping your groceries all over the floor. Yet, in the wild landscape of English idioms, they mean the exact same thing when you're sharing juicy gossip.
These next idioms perfectly capture that dynamic, unpredictable flow of actually talking with people. Picture this, you're at a networking event and you really want to break the ice, make people feel more comfortable. You start chatting with someone and quickly realize you see eye to eye, meaning you completely agree with each other. Feeling a bit bold, you start pulling their leg just to playfully joke with them. But then you kind of start to beat around the bush, avoiding talking about the main point regarding a mutual friend. And suddenly, speak of the devil, the very person you were just talking about magically appears. It's literally a complete social sitcom told entirely through conversational idioms.
Next up, section 3, the workplace and effort.
All right, before we dive into the actual definitions here, let me ask you a quick question, just to get the gears turning. What do birds, midnight oil, and a sack all have in common in the English language? Take a second, think about it.
Well, the answer is that they all represent the logical flow of working incredibly hard. In the workplace, we're constantly striving to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which honestly is an oddly violent way of saying to accomplish 2 things with 1 action. And sometimes, to get the job done, you really have to burn the midnight oil, meaning to work or study late into the night, proving you're willing to go the extra mile to make an extra effort. But eventually, you just have to call it a day, stop working so you can finally hit the sack and go to sleep.
The really crucial takeaway here is how these idioms essentially guide us through the entire life cycle of a career. When you start a brand new job, you have to learn the ropes, literally learn how to do something. If a project completely falls apart, you don't just give up. You go back to the drawing board to start planning all over again after a failure. We put in all this effort to make ends meet so we have enough money for our basic needs. In our collaborative teams, we give someone a hand to help them out. We keep an eye on projects to watch or look after them. And when we pass off a responsibility, we just tell our colleague, hey, the ball is in your court. It's your turn to take action.
All right, moving into section 4, navigating troubles and challenges.
Okay, imagine a situation at work starts to really get out of hand, meaning it's become super difficult to control. You realize a coworker is barking up the wrong tree, meaning they're looking in the wrong place or blaming the wrong person for the mistake. If you react poorly in that exact moment, you might actually add fuel to the fire, making a bad situation even worse. And suddenly you're in hot water, meaning you are in real trouble.
When that happens, there's really only one thing left to do: bite the bullet and face that difficult situation bravely.
Now, to cost an arm and a leg simply means something is very expensive. But just notice how wonderfully dramatic this phrase actually is. We take an everyday, mundane financial complaint, like, say, a sudden car repair being a bit pricey, and we elevate it to the gruesome level of losing literal limbs. I mean, that right there is the pure power of a great idiom.
Fortunately, though, English also gives us plenty of phrases for resilience. When you miss the boat and miss out on a big opportunity, a good friend will probably tell you it might be a blessing in disguise. Something that seems really bad at first, but actually turns out to be good. Even if your current trouble is just the tip of the iceberg, representing a small, visible part of a much larger problem, we promise to stick with our loved ones through thick and thin, through the good times and the bad. We're constantly urging each other to just hang in there and not give up, and to keep your chin up, staying positive during those really difficult times.
And finally, Section 5, Timeless Advice and Wisdom.
This is where we package these massive, generational life lessons into snappy, memorable pieces of conversational advice. Instead of giving someone a long-winded lecture on risk management, we just say, hey, don't put all your eggs in one basket, which simply means don't risk everything on one single plan. Instead of a deep philosophical debate on superficiality, we say, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge someone by their appearance. We remind people that better late than never means doing something late is absolutely better than not doing it at all. We caution them not to jump on the bandwagon just to join something because it's popular right now. And we advise that easy does it, reminding them to just do something slowly and carefully.
This particular comparison highlights a really subtle but important nuance in the language. Over on the left, a piece of cake refers to something that is very easy to accomplish, but on the right, a dime a dozen refers to something that's very common and easy to find. So one describes a lack of effort required, while the other describes a lack of rarity. It's actually fascinating how specific these food and money metaphors get when you really break them down.
Okay, let's energetically zip through a final set of these conversational tools. We use time flies to note that time passes quickly, whereas when pigs fly describes something that will probably never happen. If someone gets something absolutely perfect in a conversation, they hit the nail on the head, meaning they said or did exactly the right thing. If they're about to go perform on stage, we ironically tell them to break a leg to wish them good luck. We remind ourselves no pain, no gain because, well, success requires effort. And finally, for things that happen very rarely, we say that happens once in a blue moon.
All of which brings us to a really powerful proverb: Rome wasn't built in a day. This simply means that important things take time. Mastering English idioms absolutely takes time, but as we've seen in this explainer today, organizing them into the actual context of our real daily lives makes them so much easier to decode. So here's my final thought and challenge for you. Out of the 50 phrases we explored today, how many of them will you organically use in your very next conversation? Keep your ears open. You might just hear them a lot more often than once in a blue moon. Thanks for hanging out, and keep learning.